Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. This is part 4 of our 5-part Endpoint Insights webinar series. Sadly, the series will be coming to an end next month, but that webinar is going to be very good. A few housekeeping things per the usual. Let's keep the questions for the Q&A section of Zoom. It just makes it a lot easier for us to keep track of what questions have been asked and which ones have been answered. If they get posted in the chat and people are, chatting in the chat section, it's really easy for us to miss them. Speaking of chat, if you could say where you're tuning in from, it's really fun for Marty, Garth, and I to kind of see like where we are reaching everybody from a geolocation standpoint. And then lastly, instead of giving away gift cards this time around, we are giving away 4 $100 Recast store credits. So that'll be very exciting. The Recast store just launched. There's a bunch of really cool swag in there. So without further ado, we've got 2 great hosts. Neither of these guys should look not familiar to you. We got Garth and also Marty. Garth is, before joining Recast, he was the founder and creator of EnhancedSoft, which is now Endpoint Insights. We've got Marty. Before joining Recast, he was a desktop engineer at a couple organizations. We've got 2 of their favorite quotes. So I'm not going to say either of them. Actually, I will say that. So we have Captain, you almost make me believe in luck. That would be Spock. And then we've got one from Doc Brown. What in the name of Sir Isaac H. Newton happened here? And that is your 2 movie quotes for the day. So it's a quick agenda. Marty and Garth are going to give a very detailed overview of Endpoint Insights. Then we're going to do a demo, which is everyone's here to see. We'll talk about data and beyond the reports of what Endpoint Insights can do. Q&A, but like all of our other webinars, this is very conversational. So if you have a question, please just shoot it over in the QA. We will answer them as we go.
So, Jeff, before we get started, there's a question.
Already a question.
Yeah, there's already a question.
Wow, there's a lot. It looks like chat is not working right now.
Yeah. And since you're the Mr. God, I'll let you fix it.
Yep. How about this? Garth or Marty, you guys give just, maybe talk a little slower over what Endpoint Insights is. While you guys do that, I'm going to try to figure out how to re-enable chat.
No problem. So, Marty, do you want me to go or you're going to go for this?
I can go. Sure. So we're going to talk today a little bit more about Endpoint Insights. So here are kind of the pillars, I would say, of what we have for Endpoint Insights. I am going to say this webinar is going to get a little bit more on the technical side. So it's behind the reports, right? So we're actually going to take a little bit of a look at what's actually happening in the background as we do some things. But let's go through the pillars first. So overview, better environment knowledge. Kind of the idea of Endpoint Insights is there's data that exists out there that we need that isn't necessarily available in ConfigMgr right now. So we have created some different things that you can find. And you can also consolidate all of that into some reports inside ConfigMgr reporting. The data also exists in the ConfigMgr database, which is where it says we can use it in other popular places. So the data exists in the ConfigMgr database, which means you can use it to your heart's content.
Isn't that what we're going to show today there, Marty?
We're definitely going to show some stuff
about how to use the data that's in the config database. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Yep. Better insights so that you can kind of just get have even more information. I always talk about Endpoint Insights as information. So this is actually, with more information, you can have better insights into what's going on with the hardware and software in your environment, so that you can actually do something with that info and do something about it. Absolutely. And then I need to move something over. Here we go. And this will also give you access to better decision making. Once you have more information, obviously you can make better decisions about things, depending on maybe it's how long are you keeping devices? How many old devices even exist in your environment? And maybe even something like are users installing software that shouldn't be, that's being installed not as in local admin, so that you don't necessarily have insight into it in ConfigMgr, which may be a little bit of a tease for something that we're doing later.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit of a tease.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, very good. Is there another slide, or should I start sharing?
You can start sharing.
All right.
Actually, before we start to share, do we want to mention any dad jokes, or do we want to save that for later on?
We need to stall a couple of times in here because we're going to be looking at log files. So
Let's save the dad jokes then. Yeah, Marty's
dad jokes.
Take it away.
I need you to stop so I can start. And here we go. Perfect. All right. So what you should be seeing is my ConfigMgr console here. And we have a couple of machines that we're taking a look at right here, simply because they were a part of a collection that we have. But what we are going to do real quick is take a look at, and I keep wanting to go to right-click tools. We're going to look at the Resource Explorer for these devices. And what we're going to show real quickly is we're going to talk today and show how we get user installed program information and what we can do with that information in our environment. Now, go ahead, Garth. You sound like you wanted to say something.
I was going to say, so what is user installed software, Marty?
Absolutely. So user installed software is going to be software that was installed not as local admin on the device. There are some programs out there, Kindle, Google Chrome, there are a couple others, and we'll show one later, Brave, that when you install it, if you are not a local admin, you can basically say, no, I'm not a local admin, and they'll say, hey, that's okay. Do you want to install it anyway? So that installs in the local user's profile. And when it does that, essentially, what it is going to, it's in the user's profile. ConfigMgr is not going to see it as an installed program. Now, if you look here, this is the information that EI, any of these things here in the Resource Explorer that are listed as EI are ones that Endpoint Insights is adding in there. And if you notice, there is one called EI User Programs. Right now, OneDrive is the one that is installed on this device. Now, Garth,
yes,
I noticed something here though. It looks like it's installed OneDrive 3 times. What is going on there?
Well, if you notice the second last column, you'll notice that it's different users that have it. Technically, it's the third and second last columns that shows what the domain and the user is that's installed. So there's 3 times, one for each user that's installed.
Excellent. Very good. Yeah, so that is exactly what we're seeing here, is the user installed programs. So we're going to go ahead and play with that a little bit.
So just to, Jeff seems to think that he's fixed the chat just for those that are still asking about it. So feel free to try it. And there you go. So let's set the stage here, Marty, before we go too much into the demo here.
Sure.
So we've talked about user installed software, and we're going to demonstrate what a user installed software is. But at a high level, what we're trying to show in this demo is we're going to install a user installed software. We're going to show that this software is installed on the computer. We'll trigger the inventory to happen. That will end up in the ConfigMgr Database. And at that point in time, we're going to show that it is inventoried by Endpoint Insight, but not inventoried by ConfigMgr. So when we say we had to stall a little bit, we're going to be looking at logs a little bit. And I mean, everybody's looked at the ConfigMan logs and know everything's not always fast. So we got a couple of polls that we'll throw into this thing. Did I miss anything, Marty?
No, I think you're right on top of exactly what we're going to do.
Okay, so I do have a note saying that it says that chat still doesn't work for some people, but we're going to get started anyways. I was going to say, before you go, did you want to show that there was nothing for in Resource Explorer for that device under installed software?
Oh, sure. Yep. So I did show the user installed programs.
Correct.
So this is the EI user programs, which isn't showing any. We're looking at Brave today, so there isn't any Brave there. And then installed applications.
There's no Brave in there.
No Brave. Installed applications 64.
No Brave.
No Brave.
You got installed executables. There should be no Brave.
Yep.
You can actually type Brave in the filter and you can prove that there's nothing there.
Making things easy.
Making things easy.
There are no items.
And then installed software, Brave. And we're going to repeat this when we do the, after we show that it's installed. So from here, we're now actually going to install the software on our test machine. So you notice that Marty's going off to Win10 demo 2. And just for simplicity's sakes, we've set this up as a configuration manager deployment. Traditionally, people would just download it from the website, but we did as a ConfigMan deployment just to make our lives easier on the whole thing. So off you go, Marty.
All right. So you may notice that it says reinstall. That is just proof that we actually tried our demo beforehand.
Yes.
So this is where a user who's trying to install Brave themselves would be like, yeah, I don't have that. And then Brave, in its infinite wisdom, says Brave can be installed without administrator privileges. Would you like to continue? Why, yes, Brave. Of course, I would like to continue.
So I can see the chat is working now. We've got people from Finland and New York, Tampa.
LA. Yeah.
There you go.
Here's our first stall point. So if you look, Brave browser is now installed on our computer here.
It is.
Very good. Now, what we need to do, next step would be to let's make it so that it'll actually show up, so that it gets inventoried and show up in our information.
So when Marty does that, what ends up happening, what we're going to do is force it to happen faster. Traditionally, this would happen naturally. It would happen the next time the user logs in or once a day, whatever. But we're going to trigger this now because we're impatient.
Yeah. And what we're actually triggering is that the Recast agent, which is required for the additional information in Endpoint Insights, creates essentially a recurring task in your task scheduler that happens at multiple times when you log in, and then at time and a whole bunch of different things. We are going to say, no, we'd like to go ahead and run it right now. And we'll give it a refresh. The task is currently running and it completed successfully. Now, because we all like logs so much, there is also actually a log where we can see that this has actually completed. So if you look, it's under program data, recast opera logs. There's a recast agent user log that will actually show that all of these things are happening. So if you look, our current time, it's 10:15. So this happened, just 15 or 30 seconds ago or whatever. So all of these went ahead and did their thing. So that's exciting.
What this log is also showing is not only is it showing all the user installed software, but it's also showing map drives, map printers, and user ODBC settings. So we inventory them all at the same time.
Yeah.
So from here, Marty is going to use the right-click tools and force a hardware inventory on the machine. And this is just to get the inventory back faster. Like, again, this would naturally happen and you wouldn't have to do that but yes, the new release that came out.
Yes, so there is a 4.9 release that came out just a couple of days ago. We haven't updated our demo environment yet, because right before a demo, you don't tempt fate like that.
Yeah.
So
we were having enough when we were practicing this on Monday. Of course, Brave was having problems, so we were trying to figure out our back story on here.
excellent.
So, is it done already? It can't be done. Did you actually trigger? Are we looking at the right computer?
This is Win10 Demo 2 right on that computer and the inventory agent. It looks like it just did one relatively recently. That was its normal time frame that it would do that hardware inventory. We just asked it to do a new one, so it may take, I think you set up to 90 seconds here before it will actually get started. So yeah, as long as I clicked on all the things that said, hey, do you want to do a full inventory and all that, and I'm pretty sure I did. So may take just a couple of seconds here.
I would trigger it again, just because it's usually pretty quick. There we go. Now, if you go bring up that log file. All right. So now that it's starting, this is our opportunity for our first poll on the whole setup. So, Jeff, can you load up the first?
You betcha. Oh, this is looks like this is a two-part poll, but the second part is just disregard that. Anyways.
Okay.
The untitled question poll.
So, do you guys manage user installed software? So things like Brave, Chrome, Kindle readers. Do you concern yourself with security on the whole thing? We have a super cool process. Can I vote on these things?
I really hope someone has a super cool but top secret process. There we go. We got one. Nice.
Apparently, we can't vote on the whole thing.
Yeah. Yep. So the idea here is we're just curious if people are, I mean, you know, how concerned are you? Are you managing that software right now, or is it just kind of a black hole that we don't necessarily want to look into? Or maybe you have a great process that you are using, and you know what, if it's really, really good, please feel free to share if you can, if it's not a top secret process.
So it looks like about half of the audience handles it on a case-by-case basis, and then obviously not that far behind a third don't manage it at all, and then 15% have got a super top secret method. So if there's that many secrets out there, I mean,
that's awesome.
Everyone's doing the same thing.
So, okay, let's close off that poll there, Jeff, because the hardware inventory has finished there. And if Marty can bring up the data loader log,
which is this one here,
the third one, and you go to the bottom, and is it?
It is done.
It's done. Like. So we've entered everything into the ConfigMgr database, and we can move on and show you guys the next thing. So awesome. Go into yeah, that one.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at that that device again and take a look and see what we can see here. So now if you look inside the EI user programs, there is something new that is installed under my not admin account, and that is that Brave installer, or the Brave application, which is right here. We can absolutely go back here and check again in installed applications. No Brave there. Installed application 64. No Brave there. Installed executables. No Brave there. And installed software. So the idea of what we just showed is that so Endpoint Insights has the ability to pull in that user program information about that user installed software, which is not being shown in any of the other places where ConfigMgr generally gets its information about or about installed software.
Correct. So there's a couple of things in the chat that that are kind of interesting. There's some talk about using SACM to do the installs, and then use App Blocker to block user installed software. Absolutely, you can do that. There is a comment about people don't have admin rights. So just for clarity, in this example that we're showing with Marty, he doesn't have admin rights on that Win10 demo machine at all. And he was able to install Brave, the browser. So this is something that any user can do as long as they can log on to the computer. Again, assuming that App Blocker is not blocking it. You can install software that way. You just, when the UAC prompts, you say no or cancel or whatever, and the install will continue. So Brave is an example of that. Kindle is an example. Same thing with Chrome, Firefox. You know, there is a ton of software that will allow you to do that on this whole thing.
Absolutely. So, yep, go ahead.
So there, just to let you know, there are some questions, but all the questions are about dad jokes. I'm just leaving them aside for now, just because there's a couple of good ones in there. So Marty, what is the next thing that we're going to do? Now that we've seen that somebody's got Brave out on there, what are we going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've seen that Brave has actually been installed, what we are going to go ahead and do is we're going to create a Brave uninstall collection. So if we actually take a look at the information here about how we've set it up, is essentially our membership rules are that we're doing a query inside, and we can take a look at what it looks like here. Where basically, if you like query language, we can even go here. But essentially, it's showing that the EI user app display name is Brave. So once the information is in the ConfigMgr database, after Endpoint Insights has added it in there, once we go ahead and update the membership of this collection, this should, in a second here, show. And I'll give it a second. I always get so excited.
So while you're doing that,
yeah,
there is a question in the chat, and I want to remind people that it's actually easier for us to track them in the Q&A than it is in the chat. But is the software inventoried by the user profile a list of known apps from EI, or does it know all EXEs? And the answer is it is for all software titles that get registered in the user add remove programs. So we're effectively taking the inventory out of the user add remove programs and moving it into a different WMI class, which allows you to have configuration manager inventory it and return it.
Yeah, so essentially every time that a computer now in our environment here has Brave installed, and it's not even going to matter which version necessarily of Brave gets installed. If a newer version comes out, we'll still be able to find it. The only thing would be if somehow Brave isn't in the name anymore, the way we have this one set up. But now I've got a collection of computers that have Brave installed, and due to Garth's amazing handiwork, we actually have a way, he created a script that will actually uninstall that as well. So we have a couple of, would you like me to show that off, Garth? Because I'm gonna, so.
Sure, so there's a blog post called, this one was originally installed, this blog post was originally created to allow us to uninstall software while I was doing some testing of one of our applications. So the script that we're going to use is loosely based on this script that uninstalls applications, but it will actually look at the current user uninstall thing. So I think you have the PowerShell there.
I do. Yep.
And we can see that there's the whole script. You're welcome to grab this, and it will uninstall the software off the machine. And because it's user installed software, it will not actually trigger the hardware inventory because the user won't have admin rights to it, but everything else in there. So we'll have in a minute, we'll have a way for you to ask for this. And Jeff, who's on the call here, he and his team will get that out to you if that's something that interests you.
Yeah, we'll also put the URL of this as well, of the blog post in there as well in that email, so that you don't have to confuse yourself and try and find it or search through our site. We'll get you that right post haste.
So what we did here, and Marty's going to go to the software library, we created a package that has the Brave uninstall. And because we were doing all of our testing, we did the Brave install, uninstall, and a PowerShell bypass program in there. But we're going to deploy the uninstall out to that collection. And therefore, if anybody fell into that collection, it would automatically go out and uninstall that for them. For the interest of time, what we had done is we've already deployed that uninstall to the workstation, and we're going to run it right now. And clearly we've run this before. So
let me just make sure that Brave isn't running anywhere. We'll go ahead and run it.
I think it prompts to kill it or something like that. I forgot. So the uninstall here is deliberately not silent. This is up to you to take care and make sure that it's silent, but we wanted you guys to see it. So if you click uninstall.
And then Brave cries out, "Why?"
Why?
by opening Edge.
All right. So with that, it's done. So now,
just to verify, if you look, we would have seen that Brave was installed here, but it is no longer. We didn't show it here, I guess, but yeah, so no longer on the desktop, no longer in apps and features.
Okay. So again, because we're impatient, we're going to trigger the inventory task to go again. And we're going to give that a second to run.
And it looks like we completed that one.
All right, so now we're going to trigger the hardware inventory again.
And what I was going to do was hop back over here.
Driving like a madman, Murray.
Yeah, I know, and Windows doesn't like it when I do that. All right. So we're back on our. What's that?
Do you have a case of the Courtneys?
I've something. So we'll go ahead and now I need right-click tools, and we're going to go ahead and do the hardware inventory and ask that to go ahead and go.
So why do you do full hardware inventory?
Habit is why I do a full hardware inventory. So here's a little thing about the right-click tools. When that pops up and asks you if you want to do a full inventory or not, it's not really asking you if you want to do an inventory at all. You've already said that you're going to by clicking on that button. What it's asking you is if you want to do a delta or if you would like to do a full. So if you put no, it's actually going to do a delta hardware inventory and only get what's changed. If you put yes, it's going to do a full hardware inventory. Just a little, there's a little right-click tools surprise for you. Yeah, if you haven't realized that before. But
so while this is going on, we'll get Jeff to do, I think, poll number 2, which is just a simple one to ask, do you want Jeff and company to email you out the uninstall? scripts. So we'll give this a few seconds. I'm going to pick I'll write this myself.
Yeah, that's probably good. Luckily, it only took you 12 versions, it looked like. In that script, I think it said it was version 12. So
Yep, the version 12 is what
that was the winner.
that's the last one. I mean, if you read the blog post, you'll notice that I've changed it multiple times over the years. So
Good deal.
all right.
So as we're polling here, you can see that the inventory agent log is doing its thing.
All right, so that looks like it's done. Do you want to close off the poll and we'll go off to the is it the data loader? Yeah, look. Oh, it's still not there yet, I don't think.
Not quite.
Not quite. So this is where this is why, logs, I both love them, and there you go. Hey, while we got it, why don't we go to poll number 3?
Poll number 3, all right.
Poll number 3. So we needed some stall stuff. So we decided to do a fun poll. What ConfigMan resource are you? So this is just strictly out of curiosity. I'd love to hear what the results are of this one.
Hey, Garth, which one would you pick?
I am a cross between CM Trace and reporting.
That's fair.
Clearly I love reporting, but I am also love CM Trace.
Interesting. That's good. Both of the times I was a desktop engineer, I had to do software update deployment was probably my #1 concern. So I'd probably at these pick software update deployment, which then brings it into CM Trace because you got to look at log files to figure out what's happening.
So
yes, it looks like CM Trace is #1, then task sequence, and then software update, and then reporting is trailing in the distant 4th place. Sorry, Garth.
I love reporting though.
That's all right. If you don't love reporting, we can help you out. We've got Endpoint Insights that does some of that stuff. So you don't have to do it yourself.
So I think we stalled enough because I can see it's into the database now.
Yep.
So if we go back and look at this machine again, we can see that under user installed software, that Brave is now being removed and we no longer will see it. And of course, it's not going to be in any of the other areas.
Yep. So now the last thing is in our device collection, it was one of our test collections actually, we have our Brave uninstall. So now essentially the next time that the membership is updated for this collection, which you would have set when you created the collection, how often you want the membership to be checked. When it refreshes the membership for this collection, this will drop back down to 0 members when it's completed. Ta-da!
So you guys really like that fun poll about which ConfigMan feature you are. The one thing I'm finding is that you guys are a quiet group, not asking a lot of questions about it. Like we must be doing a fantastic job on all of this. Or did Jeff get the Q&A to not work when he fixed the chat?
No, I think Q&A is still working. It is just quiet. There's just a couple good dad jokes in there. Nick and Paul have both sent their favorites in. But yeah, no real questions.
What do you call a line of people at the barbershop? Barbecuing.
Barbecue. I love it.
All right, well, you can take the next one there, Marty.
An ironic dad joke. I can tell dad jokes, but I don't have any kids. What am I? A faux pas.
Oh.
So it looks like we do have a real question that came through in the chat. Is Recast planning to have a feature to remotely access internet-based SCCM client computers, identical to what TeamViewer does?
How do I answer that question? I'm going to answer that by saying, if you're at Workplace Ninja, come talk to us, but also go off to the ideas portal, as Marty is showing, and vote it up. Seriously, the more you do things like that, vote it up. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can go from our webpage, you can get there, recastsoftware.com, or if you go to ideas.recastsoftware.com, you can go ahead and either add a new idea if it's not already there, something that you're looking for, or search the ideas, find it, and then go ahead and vote it up. We always say that, you know, when you think about right-click tools and even Endpoint Insights, somewhere along the line, almost every one of these tools, somebody said, hey, you know what would be really, really cool? And then somebody who could code said, yeah, that would be cool. I'll take care of that. And then it exists. So, you know, we're always looking for great feature requests and things that we can add to the product for sure. Products.
So yeah, the ideas portal, also come and talk to us at either Workplace Ninja, or if you want to wait that long, you can also come and talk to us at MMS MOA, which is going to happen in Minnesota in May, I believe it is. You know, we're always there.
Or the app management show as well in the Netherlands in, I believe, October.
Who's going to that one?
You'll have to go and find out. I can't share those details.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Garth, did you hear about the cheese factory explosion in France? No,
I didn't.
Yeah, debris was everywhere.
Oh, groan. There's another question in here. Is there a way to tie Active Directory like department info to Endpoint Insights if it's not already linked to a device? So it's a bit of a loaded question. The answer is yes, you can tie that to a user. There are two tricks to that. Is you need to turn on your AD discovery the department information, and then you can do a SQL query or a report, or you can modify one of our existing reports and add that information in. So it is possible to do that. Our existing reports don't do that. Marty, while you're here, why don't you show off some of the report sets, show them what's there. The thing that I always encourage people to do is look at what we have for the reports. Although this webinar is all about not in reports, the big thing about it is we collect the inventory, but people want the reports on it. And we were showing you, once you got the inventory, what can you do with it outside of the reports? And our example was to show you that we can inventory a user software and then
we'll do it over here,
uninstall it and that. But there also is a whole ton of additional reports on here. So if you go down to software,
yep,
and I think if you just click the root of software, you'll see the software dashboard on this, and you can either run it in the browser or on the console, whichever you're so inclined. And you'll notice that you have the ability to collect inventory, user installed software or computer installed. So if you wanted to just look at just computers, you can pick up computer, or if you wanted to see just user software, you can pick users. This was something that we added based on feedback from one of my friends, Tim, who said, I'd really like to see that. And we added it in and made it easier for him to do it for his whole environment.
Marty, are you sure this idea didn't come from the idea portal? Or not Marty, sorry, Garth.
So Tim, I forget if it actually went into the ideas portal or if you just sent me an email. So Tim and I probably talk once a month about various things, and he added it in, and we updated the report set for him on there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to skip over the dad joke and go to the how do I access the full list of reports and titles? So there is a I believe there is a PDF with a list of all of the reports in it that is available. If you're interested in that, please contact us and we'll get you that list on it, or ask for a demo, and you can see what's in there. Marty or myself or Courtney will jump onto a call if you have any technical questions. But all of those reports are available. The titles of them are available for you. So there's a question about MMS this fall. Due to the pandemic, it was postponed. But I believe that next fall there is another one, and I believe it's going to be in Miami. So none of the information for this was stored in the asset intelligence data. It doesn't, that report set doesn't leverage the asset intelligence data in any way, shape, or form. Question: the logs and WMI classes are recommended. Like a Brave demo, but this is according. So Nico, I'm not sure I completely get your question, but when Endpoint Insights does its inventory, what it does is there's a WMI class that is created called root recast software recast agent _ user, and in there's a number of classes that go into that, and we that's where we put all our inventory in it. And this allows ConfigMgr to inventory that data and bring it back to us. Hopefully that helps that. Can you compare software between two collections? Can you compare software between two collections? We have not had that request, although there is one to compare software between two computers on there. So cancel what? Answered live. Oh, okay. Apparently I'm having a problem with the marking things in here. I swear it's only tea I'm drinking, I swear. So did I miss anything there?
I think you've gotten through all the questions that have come through so far.
Oh, here's another one. Can I force toaster pop-up and right-click tools? Marty, I'm going to leave that to you. I know the answer, but I'm going to leave it up to you still.
Now he's there's the side bet he's having with himself on if I'm going to answer correctly. So we do have a notification tool that exists, and I am not probably going to find it in the right spot. Send notification. Wow, look at that right there. Under console tools, we have a send notification tool that can send notifications to one computer if you have one computer selected, multiple computers if you have multiple computers selected, and you can then also do then you can also do
Are you reading
whatever.
the same chat message I am? That follow?
I must be.
It's not a Long Island iced tea, that's what you're wondering.
So anyway, yes, you can send notifications. Can you schedule notifications? So using our automation tool, Recast Builder, Yes, you can actually schedule notifications to happen. You could even have them happen on a recurring basis. Maybe on the last day of every month or the first day of every month, you have a notification that says, hey, have you installed your software updates yet? Do it now while you have 10 minutes. It's the first day of the month. You're not too busy yet today. Go ahead and install your updates, something like that. So you absolutely can schedule those as well. But
There's a follow-up to that says, but does it force it to pop up?
So so each of these has a little bit different way that they pop up. The toast notification ones pop up in the corner as if toast notifications. The Windows pop-up message pops up in the dead center of the screen because it's just that standard Windows notification that pops up in the center and you can click OK. The only thing I don't know off the top of my head, and somebody who's smarter than me might know how, if they're in like a no interrupt state, how exactly that would show up. For sure, they would show up in their notifications over here, even if they have the do not notify or whatever popped up. It would show up here at least. It would show up here at least. I'm not sure about that Windows pop-up, but that'd be a good thing to test and see exactly what kind of results you get out of it.
And again, if there was something that you'd like to see changed, improved, or added, again, go off to the ideas page. Like, we look at that regularly, and we're making plans. Let's just put it that way. I can't spill the beans too much, so that's the thing. So there you go.
Cool. All right. I am going to stop sharing, Jeff. If you want to, I don't know. Do you have another follow-up?
Well, how about that? How about Jeff? You want to take that last question that's still stuck in the Q&A?
I will. So we give Amanda has been sending over a lot of dad jokes. This one I think is pretty good. Why is it hard to make steak jokes? Because it's rare the medium is done well.
So do we still have that email address for contact Chelsea with your best dad jokes?
I think that's the email. You just contact Chelsea at recastsoftware.com, and that'll make it over there.
All right. We encourage you to fill Chelsea's inbox with dad jokes.
Or you can hit us up on Twitter. That works as well.
Oh, Twitter works as well.
Perfect.
Yep. But as I did mention, we do have 4 lucky winners that will be receiving a $100 Recast swag store credit each. So that is Amanda L, Eric T, Mike T, and Nelma L. So look for those emails coming through the next day or so. We will also be sending out an email with the recording to this, an email with the blog post. And if you wanted to have that text log file, we've got the poll results. So we'll be shooting that over shortly after this webinar as well. Speaking of webinars, we do have one webinar coming up. Sadly, that's 5 of 5 for our series. There is a date change. So if you did register for this webinar, you would have gotten an updated email from Zoom, but Zoom actually does not include a new Outlook notification or calendar invite. So just be aware of the date change. It's now September 27th. We can blame Garth because he'll be out of the country, not pointing fingers. We'll also be sending in a couple follow-up reminder emails as well from the Recast side. So that'll be, Endpoint Insights, Hidden Gems. Hopefully we see you all there. As always, if you want to know more information about any of Recast's tools, head over to recastsoftware.com. Thank you all for joining. Sorry about the chat hiccup at the beginning, but I think we made up for it as we went through. Also, Marty, Garth, thank you very much for joining. Fabulous job. I think everyone appreciates these webinars based on the feedback we receive.
Glad to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next month on the 27th.
See you.